Você está ficando. Por isso insisto na verdade. Eu sinto muito. Você sabe que é só. Você sabe que é saudade. Eu sinto muito. Por isso você está ficando. Por isso insisto na verdade. Que eu sinto. Você sabe que é só. Você. Eu sinto.
I'm so glad you're enjoying the music. Much more lo-fi beats to come. Hi, everyone. Happy Saturday morning and welcome to today's Stemettes panel with Siemens Energy. Now, my name is Anne-Marie. I will be your host for this wonderful Meet the Stemettes session that we're running today. And I run the organisation Stemettes. So a big welcome back to those of you that have come along to our events and have been joining us virtually now for a while too. And a big welcome to any newcomers and any newbies. Thank you very much for joining us, and thanks for giving us the privilege of being able to entertain you, inspire you, and inform you this morning. So we are Stemettes. We're all about supporting and encouraging young women and non-binary young people into the STEM field, STEM being science, technology, engineering, and maths. And we have a bit of art in there as well. Sometimes it is STEAM. And today's session we're running in partnership with Siemens Energy. Now, Siemens Energy, some of you may have heard of the Siemens part before, but not necessarily the energy element. But I know this is something that will inspire and will be of interest to lots of you. They are helping folks work towards decarbonisation of their energy. So we're moving towards a more sustainable world. And you're going to be hearing about this from lots of the role models that we've got joining us this morning. So just to quickly run through what's happening on the agenda, if I can get our slides back, and we can maybe make them a little bit bigger so folks can see them. So this is my intro. I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping in a second as well. We're then going to meet our panelists in just a matter of moments. We'll get to introduce each of them. We'll get to learn a little bit more about them. And then I'm going to ask them some questions, because that's the best way to get to know people, the best way to get to know their journeys, and the best way to get to understand how that might work for you in your lives and the lives of folks around you. We'll then go to a live Q&A from the audience. And I can already see here in my panel, I know folks are joining us on YouTube, some are joining us on Twitter, some are joining us on Facebook. So I can already see that the comment is working. So thank you very much to everyone. I can see Christine and Natalia. It's their first time here, so welcome in. And Alex is enjoying the music. So you'll be using that same chat box to pop in your questions, which I will then be able to direct to our panelists. At 12:25, we'll then go to feedback for our main session. But I know there's lots of you who have signed up for our speed networking session just afterwards with our role models, which will be a little bit more kind of face to face. And I know someone was commenting about being able to meet people. So you will be able to, as COVID safe as possible, meet the role models and some other fantastic folks who are joining us from Siemens during that speed networking session. So well done to all of you who signed up on time to be able to get back into that. So that's how we're going to run things, and we should be done just before 2 o'clock there. You can see at the bottom of the agenda. The other thing to note is we've got our hashtag. So hashtag Siemens Energy Stemettes is the hashtag if you want to share what you're hearing, if there's anything cool that you hear, if there's anything surprising that you learned this morning, or even if you just want to tell us how you're feeling about what you're hearing and what you're learning, then that's the hashtag to use on social media, and we'll be keeping an eye on that too. And then the final thing to say in terms of housekeeping is you're all joining us from lots of different platforms. At the Stemettes, we're an inclusive and we're a supportive space, and we need to make sure we're doing that as well across our comments. So if you are going to pop some comments in, if you are going to make questions, and if you are going to write things, please make sure that you are courteous and you're kind and you're polite to others. This is a space where we're all here to learn, we're here to be inspired, and we've got these fantastic volunteers who have given up their Saturday mornings. So we want to make sure that we're also that we're respectful of them and their time and respectful of each other. So without further ado, I think we're going to head in and we're going to meet our panelists right on time. So our very first panelist that I'm excited to be introducing to you all is Faye Song. And we've got the slide, I think, coming up with Faye. And Faye is a senior principal design engineer at Siemens Energy, who are the company that we're working with together. Faye has got 12 years of engineering experience, and she's got a very cool day job. So Faye, are you able, can we say hey to Faye? Welcome in, Faye. Brilliant, that is Faye, and we're going to see her face. Hi, Faye. Morning. Oh, I think you're muted. Oh, there we go.
great. Hi.
Good morning. Thank you
Good
so much
morning.
for joining us. Do you want to tell us something really quickly about your role as Principal Design Engineer at Siemens Energy?
Actually, our department is Siemens Large Transmission and Solution. So we get many engineers work together to design the offshore wind farm. In my team, that's from where we believe it's a green energy come from. So in my team, we design the protection for the offshore wind farm from the wind turbine to the offshore platform, submarine cable, and onshore substation. Our team is design the protection and set a relay to tell relay what is abnormal situation to isolate the fault part to avoid the more damage in the system and make sure everyone get good quality energy supply.
Awesome. Thank you very much,
Right.
Faye. Love hearing about it. I know we're going to hear much more from you. Your main role, that you're here today as that representative of the Siemens technical team, as you said, but some 3 facts that I wanted to share that you've shared with us as well, with everyone, just to show that you're more than the title, Faye. You're a brilliant and exciting and interesting person. So my first fun fact I've got here is that in 2019, you trained and completed a half marathon within 3 hours.
Yeah.
Wow.
Compare how slow I can run from beginning, what I achieve. I'm really proud of that.
You
Okay,
should be really proud. I think we're all
it's not a good
clapping.
record.
I think we're clapping because I've never run a half marathon, so you're better than me, speed-wise or not. Secondly, we've got that you arrived in the UK from China 17 years ago, but you still worry about your pronunciation and presentation skills when you talk in public. But you're sounding great to us today, completely understanding what you're saying. So don't be worried at all. We're all here to support you and love hearing about yourself and your engineering journey.
Yeah, I try to encourage the young people. It's everyone gets worried inside of us, but don't worry too much. Try your best to challenge yourself.
Exactly. Brilliant. Thank you, Faye. Already inspiring us. And then the third fact we have is that if Faye did not become an engineer, she believes she could be a good maths teacher. And we all need a good maths teacher. So thank you very much, Faye. Awesome. So that was Faye, our very first panelist. We'll be hearing from her shortly, but she's one of many. So if I head into our next panelist, alongside Faye, joining us this morning is Katja Subladjanin, who is a quality management lead also at Siemens Energy. So Katja, can we say hello to Katja? Katja has been working, hey, morning. She's been working for 12 years too. 12 is a common number. I wonder if you were both there on the same day when you started. And Katja actually started as an engineering apprentice straight from school at age 16, which I know some of you that are tuning in are 16, and this might be something you're considering, and this is what you could be this is what you could look like, this is where you could be 12 years on. So Katja, do you want to tell us a little bit more about being a quality management lead?
Yes, of course. So within Siemens Energy, there's lots of different branches. So I work in a different one to Faye. I work in the aeroderivative gas turbine sector. So we have gas turbines all around the world that are used for power generation and oil and gas compression. And my role as quality management lead, I basically help support the 2 overhaul bases that we use that strip the engines apart and basically service them and put them back together and put them back into operation. And obviously, when things are in the shop and being built and stripped, things can go wrong. You know, there might be certain methods or people that, you know, make mistakes, or engine components might fail. And it's about making sure that we can play a neutral role in leading investigations and making sure that we can find what went wrong and make sure ultimately that it doesn't happen again. So it's quite an interesting role. There's, you know, plenty of areas where things can go wrong in terms of basic kind of paperwork to, you know, components failing. So it's really interesting, and the 2 places that I work with are in Abu Dhabi and in Montreal. So it's quite good to have play that global role.
Global, even though we're all on screens at the moment, but I'm sure heading out there was cool when in the before times.
Yeah.
I think also great to hear from you. I think sometimes when we think about engineering, we think about just the right answer and kind of never getting things wrong, whereas actually, you know, things go wrong all the time. And I don't know if anyone listening kind of has made a mistake this week. I'm sure you might have even made a mistake today. I know I've made several mistakes today already. So it's cool to know actually that, you know, that's part and parcel of how engineering works. And so there is that opportunity to be someone to make sure that things are safe and work well. So 3 fun facts about you, Katja, that I've got here. One is that you play National League volleyball.
Yes.
Show us how much I know. Are there positions in volleyball? Is there a volleyball that you can say? Is there a position you can say you play? For anyone that does?
Outside hitter. So I'm not the tallest of people. So normally you have like the tall people in the middle. So I'm just on the outside, kind of running in and spiking the ball.
Amazing. So she's an outside hitter. Let us know in the comments if you also do that when you're playing volleyball. Secondly, you're learning to speak Croatian.
Yes, hence the name. It's a bit of a difficult one to pronounce, but it's 3rd generation Serbian Croatian. So I'm trying to learn at the minute through lockdown. That's been my lockdown skill that I've been spending time learning.
And especially if you do end up working with Siemens Energy in Croatia, then you'll be good to go, ready to kind of communicate. And then thirdly, you've traveled to China 3 times with your job.
Yes, I guess working for a global business does have its perks, and yes, I've been out to China a few times to help support a different overhaul base that we were setting up to teach people how to strip and build engines, and that was probably one of the most fantastic pieces I've helped support in my career to date. So it was really, really interesting to be involved in a different culture and see another part of the world. So
awesome. Thank you very much, Katja. Christine says you're so cool. So there we have it. So that's Katja, our second panelist. We will be hearing from her shortly too, alongside the rest of the panel. So our third panelist, moving on to Amber O'Connor. And Amber is an engineering program manager in the remote diagnostic services at Siemens Energy. So if we can get Amber's slide up, that would be awesome. So this is Amber. Can we see Amber as well? She joined as an apprentice too at 16 to Siemens Energy, but she didn't know at that point that she wanted to be an engineer, which might be some of you that are tuning in this morning. Hi, Amber.
Hi, good morning.
Morning. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about what it is to be an engineering program manager and maybe what remote diagnostic services is? I think I can guess from the title.
Yeah, so to put it really simply is that I manage loads of different individual projects and bring them together into a big engineering program. And what I do is remotely monitor gas turbines all around the world. So I have about 180 that I take care of, literally all around the world. And I just make sure that, you know, they're running okay and that we can get the data and we can analyze it and support those customers. So it's a really exciting and different job.
And it sounds very cool to be able to kind of be, I don't know, in my head from what you're describing it being remote, it's almost like, I mean, I'm not saying you're an evil genius, but you know, there's kind of where you've got all those screens and the dashboards and the graphics and kind of you're waiting for something to start flashing red and rooting. Is that what it's like?
Yeah, so I can remotely see exactly what a customer will see. So, you know, whether they're in America, Malaysia, Germany, I can see exactly the screens that they see to control their engine. So it's really cool when you can see exactly what they're doing. You can see alarms going off. You can see different statuses changing. It's pretty cool.
Yes, you're in control. Amber is in control. So 3 fun facts about Amber. Firstly, that she's mad about cars. You've currently got 5, all modified and very low. A low car, does it sit low, that means?
Yeah, so I put them all on air suspension so they rise up when I drive.
Oh, no way. Okay, cool. And normally on weekends, apologies, Amber, that you're not able to do it this morning. She's either modifying her cars or taking them to car shows when we're not in lockdown. So that's very cool. I only have 1 car. In fact, I have half a car technically. So one day I will be like you. Number 2, fun fact 2, is that you have 2 cats, Turbo and Diesel. Maybe we'll get to see them. Where are they? We love seeing an animal on a.
They're not here right now. I'm at a different place for better Wi-Fi.
Oh no, okay, we won't see the cats, but it's fine. I'm sure we'll get to see some photos of them or something at some point. Shout out to anyone who does have cats. Let us know in the comments if you're a cat person. And then secondly, in addition to 2 cats, you have 2 small children, Lily and Aiden, who you're currently training to be as car crazy as you. And Lily already has a modified 12V electric car with custom 3D printed wheels.
She does. Very cool.
That she can sit in.
Yeah, she can sit in and drive it.
That's amazing. I've never heard of 3D printed wheels.
Yeah, it's So they match the wheels that are on my car. So we've got like matching cars.
I love it. I love this. I'm really hoping we can see some of them at some point today. You have to go and find some photos for us, Amber. I'm going to let you go and find some photos while I introduce our next panelist. So thank you very much, Amber. And next up we have Louisa Lai, apologies. So Louisa Lai is our next panelist that we have this morning. She is a project management graduate at Siemens Energy, and she was actually part of the graduate intake in 2020. So if we can get Louisa up, she was a summer intern beforehand at Siemens Energy and now works full time there. So morning, Louisa.
Morning, Anne-Marie.
Welcome. Do you want to let us know a little bit about your journey? Because starting a graduate program in 2020 must have been quite different.
Absolutely. So I think the first part of the year I was actually still at university. I was at the University of Warwick, and luckily for me, my role at Siemens is also based in Warwick, so don't have far to travel. I just finished my master's in systems engineering, and then I moved over to working full time at Siemens. I now work back in the data and information systems department, so the same place that I was in for my internship, but we do rotations across the placement, so I'll be moving on to a different placement at some point.
Sounds fantastic. And I'm hoping that we will get to learn a little bit more, because I know some of the folks here might be interested in kind of following in the same kind of pathway. So it'd be good to learn a little bit more, I'm sure, during the panel about what that graduate program looks like. And yeah, being able to go from an internship to a graduate role is also something that I know a lot of folks are interested in. And Zainab said, wow, Louisa. So there we go. Very, very impressed with you and your journey. Although they haven't heard your fun facts yet. And I think this first one is going to blow us all the way, especially because we love food at Stemettes. So number one, and you need to explain why, is that Louisa once ate pizza every meal for a month and then proceeded not to touch pizza for another year. Why?
I think it's not the proudest moment of my life, but I think everyone who's been a student at university can attest to having a pizza lifestyle, we'll say. I actually started on a mathematics degree, and there was a period of time where I got really sick, sadly, with Thrush's flu. It kind of lasted for a month, so I really couldn't even go outside, hence the pizza.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay. No, this is a no judgment zone anyway, but that in context, that makes a lot of sense. I get it. Thanks, Louisa. Thanks for clearing that up for us. Secondly, is that you used to read encyclopedia as a child. Read the encyclopedia, as a child for fun, to learn cool facts.
Yeah. Best place to go get things that you didn't know, although now we have Wikipedia and that kind of thing, right? I think as a kid, I used to look at the pictures in the encyclopedia, especially things like the breakdown of like the Earth, and it was like a really cool way to sort of understand how things work. And that's carried clearly across to my work.
Can you hit us with a fun fact now from your encyclopedia days?
Oh gosh, I think it's all of the facts that I knew are currently like outdated. I'm still on the old system of planets with Pluto. Yeah, exactly.
Old school. I mean, that's the benefit of having Wikipedia. We update it as it goes.
Absolutely.
We don't have to use all that paper, which is good. Fits in with our theme of Siemens Energy and decarbonisation. And the third fun fact, I think is a little unfair, is that your dog is the friendliest dog ever. Are we going to get to see said dog at some point?
I think she is downstairs. She's just recovered from her fall down the stairs this morning, so it's not unreal.
Maybe it's fair. All right, brilliant. Thank you very much, Louisa. Please do keep us posted on updates with your poor dog who's fallen down the stairs this morning. So that is Louisa. Louisa is our fourth panelist. So we've met 4 fantastic women from across Siemens Energy so far, of 7 panelists that we've got for you to meet today. So our next panelist is Phoebe Ekwebesi, and she is a research technician at Imperial College London, which some of you may have heard of. So welcome, good morning, Phoebe. She's passionate about immunology, infectious disease, and communicating science, which I feel like now is your time, Phoebe.
Yes, definitely.
Do you want to tell us a little bit more about what it's like to be a research technician?
So I just support, I mainly support whatever's going on in the lab. So my main job is actually collecting blood so that they can work on, everyone can work on the blood and do their experiments. but I will support the lab with things like ordering supplies, maintaining equipment, things like that, and also communicating with external service suppliers as well.
Awesome. How long have you been doing that for?
Only 18 months. So I was at 6 months when the pandemic hit.
And you're still going in, I'm guessing, because that sounds very physical, all of what you're describing.
For 6 months, I wasn't going in. And then around September, we started going in just to get the lab up and running again. So we're still at the just starting phase.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Brilliant. So we're going to get to hear more about the exciting life of a research technician and immunology as well, and why you're passionate about that. But your 3 fun facts that we've got. Number 1 is that you love international melodrama. Is that Bollywood? Is that what that means? What are we referring to?
Everything. So Nollywood, Bollywood, telenovelas, K-dramas. I love anything. If it's in a different language, I'll watch it.
With the subtitles. I've had to get used to that now over lockdown.
Yeah.
There's only so many things you can watch in English, and now I'm having to kind of read as I'm watching, which I didn't used to like, but I'm developing my skill in that way. Awesome. So melodrama, we can kind of swap Bollywood tips maybe later on. 2 is that you are the youngest of 7 siblings.
Yes, which is a lot of fun.
Good.
It's more fun as an adult, but when you're young and you're just like the runt of the family, it's quite annoying.
Okay, and again, we'll be able to compare notes on that. I'm the eldest of 5, so I see it from the other side. So we'll see what that looks like for you. And then finally, and this is an interesting one and shows that you're always learning. We are always learning. Is that Phoebe only learned that flammable and inflammable mean the same thing last year?
Yes. So there's a thing in the English language called an autonym, which is where the prefix which would make a word the opposite actually makes it mean the same thing. So flammable and inflammable mean the same thing. Or another example is the word literally. So because people use it wrong enough times, it now means figuratively and literally.
Oh, really? So the grammar police now, they've got one less thing that they can pull people up on.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay, fair enough. Thank you very much, Phoebe, showing us that it's never too late to learn something new. We're always learning. So thank you very much, Phoebe. That was panelist number 5. 2 more for us to meet. And thank you very much to those of you that are popping questions in. I'm taking note of them. I can see your question, Victoria, and I can also see what Noha was saying as well. So keep them coming as they, type them in so you don't need to remember them later on. And with the beauty of technology, I can hold on to them. So panelist number 6 is Kira Heim, and she is a master's and PhD student who is studying fluid dynamics at the moment at the University of Leeds. So if we can get to meet Kira, she graduated in 2019 from the University of Manchester with a first-class degree in maths and physics, 2 fantastic subjects. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about being a student at the moment, Kira? How are you enjoying fluid dynamics?
Yeah, so it's all online at the moment, basically, which is, it's good, but also the program I'm doing, it was very cohort based, working with others. So we're having to work online a lot, which kind of defeats the point of that. But we're all still managing to keep in touch, over WhatsApp and Teams and stuff.
Awesome. And why fluid dynamics? What's so exciting about it?
Fluid dynamics is just everywhere. So it's liquids and it's gases as well. So it's the air around you, the cup of coffee you have in the morning, it's sort of everywhere. So there's so many different fields within fluid dynamics. That's why I find it so exciting.
Awesome. Okay, so we'll get to hear about that a little bit more. And I know there's definitely crossover with that and Siemens Energy, and then a kind of new ways of providing energy. So I'm hoping we'll be able to get some kind of good cross-fertilization, cross information later on during the panel. So your 3 fun facts are, number 1, last year you learned to crochet and you've been doing it ever since, and you're currently trying to crochet a cardigan.
Yeah, I've been doing that this morning before coming on today, and that's basically what I do.
A progress report. I think that's what we want to see, the cardigan. Let's see the beginning of the crochet.
Yeah, I can get it after the break. I've started sewing the pieces together, so it's coming along.
Very cool, very nice, very creative. Secondly, is that you can do a Rubik's Cube, but not necessarily in record-breaking time.
Yeah, so last year I worked at a call centre, and in between calls, there was kind of nothing to do. So I sort of taught myself to do a Rubik's Cube. So yeah, I'd do that in between calls, and then I think I got it down to like I could do it in about 2 minutes. So yeah, not exactly like world record breaking, but I can do it.
Faster than most. And then thirdly is that you volunteered to work at festivals over the summer and you stewarded at Glastonbury.
Yeah, so yeah, I stewarded with Oxfam, and I actually, when I did it in 2019, that was when it was last on, I was checking people, like I was on one of the gates checking tickets, and I met Louis Tomlinson, Brooklyn Beckham, and Billy Piper. I checked their tickets. I was like starstruck. I was just like,
You look carefully though, because we don't want kind of special treatment just because they're people that.
Yeah, I did. I definitely looked very carefully.
Thank you. We've got to keep the people safe. So thank you very much, Kira. That is our panelist number 6, and our last, but very much not least, panelist number 7 is Aisha Bibi. And Aisha is an MSCA ITN Research Fellow at Aston University. She's a mother of 3, and she's an aspiring photonics researcher. So Aisha, hi, good morning. Lots of letters there. What do those letters mean?
It's basically, the name of the scholarship. So it's an European Union funded scholarship. So that's what the Marie Curie scholarship. And ITN is basically it's for innovative training networking, initial training networking. So basically, I'm working on a project. It's funded by the European Commission. The project is MonPlus. It's basically Mon is monitor and Plus is plastics. So just a fancy name. But it's like we are 14 team members, 14 researchers who are spread all through UK and Europe working on this project, and where we are, trying to develop techniques to monitor and detect and quantify micro and nano plastic particles. Wow. So that's our project.
That's very, very, very cool. So I hope we're going to be able to hear lots more about that. Everyone's saying hi, Aisha, in the comments. So 3 fun facts about you is that everything you put in the oven comes out black.
So it's embarrassing, but I'm a very good cook, but a horrible baker. I cannot bake. My daughter, my eldest daughter, she's a better baker than me. Like, she's very good at baking. She has very good skills. But me...
We can't be good at everything. I'm sure that's a skill somewhere, to be able to turn all of them black. Fun fact number 2 is that you're extremely scared of dogs. So we have to see whether we become the dog in or not, I guess.
Oh my God, the more I'm scared of them, the more they come towards me. Like, if I'm walking in a group of 4 or 5 people and they're fine with it, they won't come towards them, but they'll come towards me, and it's so scary.
They can smell the fear, Aisha. That's exactly what it is.
People say that to me, but I can't help it. I'm really scared.
That's all right. Okay, so we'll leave that one. And the third and final fun fact is that you cried your out while watching PS I Love You. You cry while watching emotional movies.
Yeah. I'm probably very sensitive, and it's like, I'm always ready to cry. And my one of my cousin, he says that we need to get your lacrimal glands cut out. You're always like, tears are right here, and you just.
It's fine. It's good to have a cry. I think sometimes you need a cry. You need to let it out and process your emotions. We should tell your cousin it's fine. It's fine to cry. Okay.
Yeah, sometimes it's fine, but always ready.
There we go. Alex said I did too. That movie is wonderful. So there you go. It's not just you, Aisha. We're all crying at PS I Love You. So thank you very much, Aisha. So that is panelist number 7. We are now going to have a couple of questions, and thank you very much to those of you that are popping your questions in the comments. I can see all of them. No such thing as a dumb question. Why, by the way? So no dumb question. That's literally why we're here. That's why we're running this session. No dumb questions. So if we can get the panelists all up, please, producer. This is who we have joining us. So as a reminder, we've got Faye, Katja, Amber and Louisa, who are fantastic women role models from across Siemens Energy. And then we've got Phoebe, Kira and Aisha, who are also joining us this morning to share their science and their STEM inspiration and experiences with us. And I don't know if any of you knew, but Thursday was International Day of Women and girls in science, which we celebrated with our showcases and a few other things. And it was our Stemettes birthday yesterday as well. So this is a celebration of these fantastic women that you can all see. These are their names, and this is who we've got. So any questions you've got, pop them in the chat. Let us know. I'm going to ask a couple to kick us off, and then we'll head into the questions from you, our live audience. So thank you very much as well for keeping it coming in the comments. So my first question to all of you is, what's the best thing about being a woman in STEM? And I want to say this to kind of start off by celebrating and look at what's good and why this is something that folks want to do. So I don't know, maybe do we start with Faye, and if we run through in the order we've got on screen, actually. Faye, what's the best thing about being a woman in STEM? So what's the best thing about working in this? You are on mute, I think. Oh. The word of lockdown, the phrase of lockdown is you're on mute. That's how you know you're in 2020 or 2021. Oh, okay. You're not on mute anymore. There we go.
I unmute myself. I didn't get my education in the small school in UK, so I don't really understand how the overall education system in this country. I got 2 little girls, so the advantage for me to involve into the STEM activity is I can understand the education system in this country a little bit more, and I want to encourage other little girls, include my daughters, really find what really, how to say, they feel interesting. I don't want to then say, okay, I don't do this because it's a boys subject, this is girls subject. I don't want to then separate what they want to learn at a very early stage. I want to encourage them find out what they are interested in inside of their heart and carry on.
Definitely. I think, being able to explore that and understand more of STEM and understand your options is definitely a fantastic thing. And there's so many different things that you can do that actually there's a big potential in being a woman in STEM.
Open the world for them, give more opportunity to them.
Exactly. Thank you, Faye. Katja, what's the best thing about being a woman in STEM for you?
I think what I realise is that it doesn't matter. I think whether you're a woman and whether how kind of scared you are about going into a career that's kind of quite heavily male dominated. I think that at the time when I started my apprenticeship, we were a cohort of, I think it was about 27, and there was 3 girls, and it is quite intimidating to start with, and it does kind of make you think, oh, do I want to carry on? But I think as I've progressed through my career, I've learned that, I've had really, really good experiences, to be honest, where I've been worked and, been really nurtured throughout every kind of area that I've been supported in throughout my many male colleagues. And I've not felt treated any differently for the most part. So I think that there's a lot of preconceptions people have that you really just need to don't consider your gender a kind of anything to hold you back, and just keep on pushing through.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Katja. Louisa, what's been the best bit about being in STEM?
I'd have to agree with Katja. I think at the moment we're very lucky to be in a position where everyone is very supportive of women, girls coming into the industry. And now more than ever, I think there is an emphasis on providing that support. So coming in, you have a lot of opportunity to be encouraged to do what you want to get into, and there are people who are also willing to support you.
So the supportive environment is definitely something, not just at Stemettes events, but kind of wider across lots of different folks. Amber, for you, what's been the best thing about being in STEM?
I think similar to what Kat and Louisa said, is that there's been a lot of times in my career where I've not seen my gender as an issue. I've been really supportive to develop myself and push myself as much as I wanted to. And I've been able, to travel the world and do everything that I've wanted to do as an engineer, and it's just been great. So over the last 10.5 years, I've done so much, and just overall, it's been fantastic.
I think definitely travel is something that a lot of folks get to do, and being able to travel, kind of the science and the engineering is the same in different places. So it's nice to be able to kind of have that as a familiarity as you go around, in addition to all the free flights, which is definitely something that some folks like and look to. Aisha, for you, what's been the best part or the best thing about being in STEM?
Yeah, I would like to agree with all the wonderful ladies before me that being it's not, it doesn't make a difference. The gender does not specify which domain we can go in and which we cannot. It's just in our mind. And realizing this when I entered into STEM, that was the best thing, that it was just the society. Okay, at some point in some countries there is still this trend, there is still this mindset that engineering and STEM, that's not for girls, that's for boys. And obviously it's male dominated society, male dominated domains, so there is that scare, but it's just in our minds. It's just something that we are scared of. But once you step in there, you realize, no, there is a support community, there is a support system. If you have a support system, and if you are motivated enough to take the first step, then it's fine. So that was very motivating. And I think all the young girls should be aware of this, that we shouldn't, these thoughts and these negative, let's say, projections shouldn't stop us from following our dream.
Definitely. And that's why we've got all of this up here for folks to kind of see this and look at this wonderful panel of folks in STEM and of innovators to see, yeah, we're here to help, we're here to support, and we're thriving, and we're driving change and solving really big problems, which is why it's really cool to be working with Siemens Energy this morning as well. Kira, what's the best thing about being in STEM?
It's probably going to sound quite cheesy, but sort of making my family proud, I think. So none of my family ever had any interest in science or have any interest still, really, other than what I probably, say to them. And it just makes me feel so good that like my family are proud of me and that they're very supportive of me as well.
That's lovely. I hope they're tuning in. Hi, Kira's family, if they are watching.
I think my mum's upstairs watching.
Thank you very much for supporting her. Phoebe, why is it great? Why do you enjoy being in STEM? Why is this something for you? What's the best part?
Specifically research, I think it's high impact but low stakes, which is quite good for me. So when I was growing up, my mum said, you're going to be a doctor. And I didn't like, the whole life and death situation of it. Whereas with research, I can still help, hopefully save lives, but without the negative consequences. If I lose a sample, I've lost a sample, not a life. So that's why it's good for me.
It's lower stakes, yes. Although I think immunology is a matter of life and death. So I'd argue that maybe it is. You're maybe not as close to the front line of it all, but I think that's definitely still important. You're part of science for life. Yeah, it is. Okay, awesome. And so that's our panelists. I'm going to ask them one more question, and then we're going to head to the questions that you're all posing from the audience, because we're partway or halfway through this panel. So thank you very much, those of you that are submitting your questions. Continue to post them in, and I will direct them to the panel. I'm going to ask one more question to a couple of you, or maybe two more questions, and then we'll head into those. So I don't know who wants to take this one. What's your favourite part of your day at work? And maybe raise your hand, maybe panelists, if you want to take this. What's a typical day, and what's your favourite part of that day at work? Maybe coming to you, Katja. Yeah, there we go.
So I guess at the minute, because it's all working from home virtual, my favourite part of the day is getting involved in these collaborative meetings where I'm working with the engineers to resolve problems. Obviously, when you're not in an office environment, you miss just those conversations with people and kind of getting, together as a group and resolving something. So I have meetings most days, but the ones where you're kind of getting with a group of people to look at a problem, those are always my favourite, just because it's really good to get a team together and kind of rattle off ideas and get to the bottom of it.
Exactly. 2 or more heads are better than one. So it's definitely a nice one to be able to kind of work with folks towards solving a problem. Aisha, what's your favourite part of your day?
So my favorite part of the day would be when I'm going back home. Oh, no, just kidding. So it would be basically the start of the day, because it's like, it feels very good when you're like, okay, I have 9 hours to do this task. So that's a very good feeling, the starting of the day. Or you can also say the part where you get most of the work done. So, those are my favorite parts.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that wants to tell us the favorite part of their day? Maybe Louisa?
Sure. I guess For me, having come into it during lockdown, I haven't really been into the office and seen anyone. So I agree with Katia, actually. Any time we're on a collaborative call and we get to see people's faces, it's absolutely fantastic. And it's even better when you get to see colleagues that are maybe across the pond over in the US. I've spoken to colleagues, I think, in Asia, in the Middle East. It's just really nice to be able to collaborate with people that you wouldn't really meet in everyday life.
Definitely. And I think with Siemens Energy and some of the other organizations that are represented here, there's lots of different types of folks kind of working on problems, not just necessarily kind of across country, but with different backgrounds and such. I think it's definitely nice to be able to kind of meet and greet and learn more about people, which is always a nice one, and not something that immediately jumps to mind. Faye, you wanted to come in on this as well, your favorite part of your day?
I think for my favorite part is if we get a root cause of any technical challenge, when we really find a solution and figure out what's going wrong and solve it. At that moment, I'm really feel satisfied and happy. That's going to be the best moment of my job. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, that's satisfaction. I think there's nothing more satisfying than that, is there? Really, I think especially with kind of all the kinds of different types of problems that you're solving in your roles and in your jobs.
Yes, we work under the very tight schedule and high pressure. And when we get the problem solved, that's really something you want to celebrate.
Releasing of the pressure. Awesome. Yes. Thank you very much, Faye. So I'm now going to run. Thank you very much to those of you that have been asking questions. I'm now going to run through those. And so panelists, again, if you'd like to answer it, then pop your hand up. So we've got a question here from Y earlier, and this is for the Siemens Energy folks. I've heard that the UK has an energy deficit. So does Siemens Energy import energy from other countries? And if not, what's the most common energy source that Siemens Energy harnesses? A lot of energy in that question. Is anyone able to pick up on this one? Oh, go for it, Amber.
I'll give it a go anyway. So within Siemens Energy, we have a number of different businesses. So we do steam turbines, gas turbines, and wind turbines. So we look at all different types of generating power. And obviously we're now looking at moving to the greener side, which is all about our new business of Siemens Energy, and even our gas turbines, which, you know, predominantly used fuels which were harmful to the environment. We're now looking at how we can use hydrogen and ammonia, and, you know, how we can make the future greener. So that's all about what we're doing in Siemens Energy. And, you know, it's some massive challenges that we're facing now as an engineering organization, as an industry, but it's something that needs to change and that we're certainly going to conquer. And, you know, by 2030, 2050, the world's going to be a lot different. So yeah, in Siemens Energy, that's really what we're tackling.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Amber. There's a question here from Victoria. I think it's Victoria, her daughter. What GCSEs did the ladies take? So maybe let's run from Phoebe. What GCSEs did you take? What were your GCSE options?
I'm trying to remember. My options were music, sociology, and my child development. And then I did triple science and double maths and a few other stuff.
Awesome. Thank you, Phoebe. Kiera?
Yeah, I did catering, which I actually really enjoyed because I quite like cooking. I did business. French I did as well. I really enjoyed French. And I did double science because my school didn't actually offer triple science. So I guess that shows that, you know, you don't need to do triple science to get to where I am today.
Exactly. Mine was the same. We couldn't do triple science. We could only do double. So I just have double science.
Yeah, I think as well, I had to move sixth form to do further maths at A-level as well, because my school didn't do further maths at A-level, which was a shame.
There we go. So yeah, got to use the options you can and then head somewhere that can open it up for you. Aisha?
So my schooling is not from here. It's from back home. So over there we have like the high schoolers, like you can either choose pre-engineering or pre-medical. So I choose pre-engineering. Like I like mathematics, so I went with the mathematics. And then it's just like, you know, you have like instead of bio, you have maths, you have science, you have chemistry and physics. So
awesome, cool, thank you. Amber?
So I did art, graphic design, and history. I went to a religious school, so I did religious education, and then I did triple science, and I did an extra maths GCSE, and I took a law GCSE as well, which was like a top up as well.
I've never heard of a law GCSE, but there we have it. Okay, cool. Amber did that. Louisa?
Mine was a real mixed bag. Like Amber, I went to a religious school, so I had the compulsory RE. I did also the triple sciences, but the rest of mine were a bit of a mixed bag. I did graphic design, geography, French, and then I think I did Latin and Greek as well. So a bit of a combination.
Yeah, bit of everything. Good. Katja?
When I look back now, it makes no sense. Like when I was in year 9 picking my options, I just picked what I enjoyed. So I picked PE, art, Spanish and geography, which have absolutely no relevance to engineering. But obviously I did double science and maths as mandatory anyway. And it was those that obviously carried me through to a STEM career. So, but it just goes to show at that age, you just, if you don't have all the options to you and you're not aware of a STEM career, you don't really necessarily pick what you think is going to suit later in life.
And it doesn't always necessarily match up. So yeah, so you can go broad, I guess, and then come back narrowly. Faye, I know you grew up in China. So was there anything around your choices? What were your choices? What did you choose? Age 16?
We don't have much choice. It's like you can decide you're going to more focus on math, physical, or you're more focus on history, something. It's depend on you, but we don't. It's totally different system compared with this country. We cannot decide what you want to sit into exam. So at that time, maybe our parents, when they decide what direction you're going to go, they're going to think, okay, in which area you can find a job easier. They don't really think which side you going to interest in more. Maybe it's a different generation, different culture. It's not same like this country.
That's all right. It's good to hear about the difference, hear about the different options that folks have. There was a question here early on from Y. So she said this is probably a dumb question, but it's not. What is fluid dynamics?
So fluid dynamics, so a fluid is just like something that can flow, so like a liquid or a gas. And fluid dynamics is the study of the motion of that flow. So it's like we're surrounded by fluids. It's in the air. A fluid is the air, water is a fluid, and like water covers 3/4 of the Earth's surface, and the atmosphere is made up of air completely. So it's like really important that we understand how fluids behave. It can help like predict weather patterns. You can like harness energy from fluids as well. So that sort of relates to Siemens as well.
And yeah, it's how it all moves, isn't it? Really, I think in my mind, I always think of, I don't know if you've ever seen documentaries where you've got the kind of school of fish and they all kind of flow together. In my mind, fluid dynamics is kind of looking at the maths of maybe not the fish, but like how those different molecules move together.
Yeah, in uni last week, we got shown a video of a dead fish that was still moving because of the like flow of the liquid, but it was like moving as if it was alive like that, which was kind of a bit weird. But yeah, so it's just sort of the flow, studying the motion of a fluid, which is either liquid or gas.
Thank you very much, Kira. Hope that clears it up for you all. Adana's got a question here. Do Siemens Energy have software related roles? So someone from Siemens want to pick this one up? Go for it, Louisa.
Yeah, I can give it a try. Since I'm currently working in the data center essentially, so we deal with a lot of the data collected by Katja and her team. By Amber and her team and RDS, and there are a variety of different sources as well. And that gets put into a sort of big database, and we have to manage it, and then put it into our different systems as well. So there's a lot of opportunity for both sort of like coding related jobs, and then also sort of more data management related roles as well.
Awesome. So there you go, Adanaya. You've got the option. Alice has asked the question here. What skills would you say are needed to do an engineering degree or apprenticeship? So I know there's two of you that have done the apprenticeship. What kinds of skills would you say are needed? Go for it, Amber.
So for the apprenticeship route that me and Katia did, is that I think we were both very young when we came into our apprenticeships. We came, you know, from school, and really it was just the willingness to learn. The fact that, you know, we wanted to solve problems, we wanted to figure out how the world was, what is this engineering thing? I don't think either of us really understood it, but we had that enthusiasm, and that was the main thing that, you know, was why we entered into an apprenticeship. And I think, like a few people have said, just, you know, your core GCSEs with your maths, your English and your science, and the rest just comes. And that's why you go to an apprenticeship, is because you get the training. You're not expected to have the right skill set at the start, but they develop that. So it's the willingness to learn.
Brilliant. Thanks, Amber. Is there someone else? Was it Louisa? No, it wasn't Louisa. Katja. Katja and Faye. Or Faye, do you want to go first and then Katja?
I think a lot of people believe the engineering job is just dealing with lumber, but actually you should willing to work as a team. Dealing with people also is a very important part. I know lots of kids when they say I decided go for the engineering job because kind of they don't want to dealing with the people, but that's a wrong mindset.
Yeah, you'll get a rude surprise, I guess, when you start a new engineering job.
Yeah.
Thank you, Faye. Katja, are there any additional skills that you need for an engineering apprenticeship?
I think, no, just to echo that teamwork element. I know when we had our apprenticeship assessment centre, you know, teamwork was a part of the element that they assessed you in with a group of strangers, and you had to solve something. And we still do that same kind of test with the new graduate programme to see how you work in teams to resolve problems. You know, at Siemens, we've got a huge focus on culture and how we work together and collaborate and take accountability and lead. So I think everything is really revolved around that still very much.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So there's a question here from Eleanor back on GCSE subjects. So Eleanor wants to know, how did you choose your GCSE subjects, and would you recommend a GCSE in engineering or DT, or is it better to do traditional GCSE subjects? Don't know, Kira or Phoebe, would you like to pick up on this one? Or someone from Siemens?
I don't know about engineering. But following from what Katja said, she did what she enjoyed, even though she didn't know what she wanted to do. And I think, especially at this time in your life, because you're going to have this much pressure on yourself, and especially during a pandemic, I think it's better to enjoy the subject and do well in a subject that you enjoy, and then later on specialize into a more engineering focused or mathematical focused. I'm not sure what's required for engineering, but those type of subjects a bit later on. But of course, if you know that, you know, I want to do engineering and this is what I want, I'm sure you will ultimately enjoy doing that as a GCSE as well. It's a bit of a non-committal answer, but my answer is basically make sure whatever you choose that you're enjoying it, and then hopefully your career will follow on from that.
Awesome. Thank you, Phoebe. Someone from Siemens, would you like to pick up this about GCSE in engineering or DT? Go for it, Katja.
So I think it depends what point you're going to go into engineering, because for an apprenticeship we were going in at age 16, so it only really kind of mattered what kind of core subjects you'd done. I'm sure that engineering and DT would have added a little bit more, but at that point, because you're going in so young, I don't think it was a real consideration. I think if you were then trying to go into a college course that was then engineering, you know, if you did it at school, that would help you lead into the college course to then do a degree. So I think it depends what your next step is and where you need to consider it. And I think probably the higher up you go, the more you'd kind of need to add that experience in. But I still think at school that the main things are the science and maths. I just think anything else is extra, but I don't think it's absolutely you need to do that. If you don't want to, I'd say if you're not ready to choose, do what you enjoy. And then, you know, maybe at college, if you're a bit more, you know, you've got a decision in your mind of what you want to do clearer, then apply for a college course around it.
I think that's a good point as well. Sometimes you do want to work backwards. So especially with GCSE options, whatever you choose is what impacts then what you're allowed to do for A-levels at the colleges around you, or at the sixth form if you've got one at your school. So you definitely want to look and see kind of GCSE engineering, how does that fit into what the entry requirements are around you. And the other thing I'd say actually, Eleanor, is maybe ask people in the year above that have just done it or just completed it and see what they'd say about whether they'd choose GCSE engineering again or DT, or choose one of the more traditional ones. I've got to say, I've not often, or I didn't have the option to do engineering GCSE, and I think lots of people don't. So it can't actually be a prerequisite for higher up because it's just not necessarily available to lots of people. But you might want to take that as a privilege and do the GCSE because you can. So there you go. I hope that's useful, Eleonora. Adanaya has another question here. How many times did you change career ideas, and when did you know you'd found the right one? So this is a great question here. I don't know who wants to take this. How many times have you changed your mind, and when did you know you picked the right one? Go for it, Amber.
So obviously I started really young in this career. I was 16, but when I did it, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I said earlier, I took an extra GCSE. So I did law, which meant that I went to college after school and did like an extra GCSE because I really thought that I wanted to be a lawyer. I did graphic design as a GCSE because I really thought that I wanted to do that. And I literally didn't even make up my mind even after I accepted my apprenticeship. I still wasn't even sold on the idea of being an engineer. But it's the best decision that I ever made. And I think sometimes you just fall into things and it's just the best fit. So, you know, if you're currently in a situation where you don't know what you want to do, then that's okay, because it will come and you will figure it out. So I think, as people have already said, following what it is that you do that you're passionate about, what excites you, what makes you happy, is really the best advice. And, you know, you will come to it. And if, you know, the subjects that we've talked about that relate to engineering are some of those, then engineering could be a great career for you, but it's not for everyone.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it is like it evolves over time, doesn't it? The older you get, the more you see, the more you realize this is something that works and this is something that doesn't. Faye, you wanted to come in?
What I didn't change my career, but I want to suggest to the young generation is you have to keep learning for your whole life, because these days the world change a lot. We cannot forecast what job we're going to have in the future, or how long you can last for your whole career life. So be ready. You might cannot get one job for your whole life. That's what I feel for the younger people. And don't afraid. Whatever you make your decision and try your best. Become the best part of that group. You're going to be safe, but keep learning. That's what I want to say.
Definitely, 100%. And I think I definitely want to repeat again your point on the fact that these are new jobs that are coming up all the time. So I don't know how many of you you've seen all these new things, especially what Louisa was talking about in terms of data science. All that has been a new job role, a new job title. And by the time some of you that are listening in and tuning in today, by the time you start working, there'll probably be even more new jobs, new roles, new things to explore.
You never know what will come out. What's a new opportunity.
Exactly. So you always, like you said, want to be learning and want to be ready to take advantage of those new opportunities. Thank you very much, Faye. Louisa, you wanted to come into on this question, and then we'll go to the next one.
Yeah, I think for me, definitely, I've had a lot of times in my sort of career process where I have made quite a lot of changes. So as you can probably tell from my GCSEs, I've mainly picked whatever I enjoyed, and that, I think, it didn't hold me back from the career that I wanted to take. But originally I wanted to go into mathematics and into research. So I didn't end up going down that route. I thought I would prefer something a bit more practical. So I went with engineering. And then, having come out with an engineering degree, I'm now in project management. So I think my main message is that it's okay to change your mind when you do, if you do. And it's also okay to commit to something and say, you know, it's not right for me. I would like to change my mind, and this thing would fit me better.
Definitely, and you've always got those options. So Annie's got a question actually that comes off from what you're all just saying, which is that the world of STEM is so huge and there's so much you could possibly research and look into. She was wondering, how did you choose what to study or work in? So maybe we can go. Let's hear from Aisha. How did you choose what you wanted to study from everything that you could do, being someone in STEM?
Yes, so you know, there are so many opportunities. There are so many vast. Like I started with my, as I mentioned, that we had a choice. We could either go in arts, pre-engineering, or pre-medical. I went with pre-engineering because I enjoyed mathematics. But then once you're in pre-engineering, there are so many different domains. You can go in telecom engineering. You can go in mechanical engineering. You can go in. It's numerous. Okay, you cannot count them. There are so many. So then it's like, you know, I feel the opportunity that life just throws at you, those you just take it, the best opportunity and the thing that interests you the most. So that's how I went. And then after that, I did my master's. I did basically my bachelor's was information and communication systems engineering. So you can say it's like a combination of electrical engineering and telecom engineering. And then after that, I worked in telecom industries for a couple of years, and after which I did my master's. And my master's is in photonics engineering. That's totally different. So again, I'm also changing my path, and it's just an opportunity that came to me and it seemed interesting, and it is the future basically. But then now once I came in photonics engineering, after 1.5 years, it was a 2-year program. So after 1.5 years, you need to choose one domain that you want to do your thesis in. So again, it's like, you know, there are so many. There is microwave photonics, there is sensing, there are so many, the free optics, there are so many things. So from those, I feel like the way to go is what you like, what is interesting for you, not something that, okay, you see, okay, nowadays XYZ domain is in, you know, very hot and people are choosing that, and there is more opportunity of getting a job. That's not the way. Believe me, that's not the way. You might choose the hottest topic, and after 1 month, you might not find any opportunity. So the best way is do what your heart tells you to do. Do what you enjoy. So that's what I did. Like the university where I was doing my my thesis in, it was like, you know, one of the group was very, you know, you could find many opportunities in that. But my interest was in another group. So I chose that. And then I got PhD option in my interest. And it worked out for me. If I had chosen, okay, that one seems that there are more opportunities, I should go there, maybe I wouldn't have found an opportunity when I needed one. So I think that's the way to go. Like, follow your heart.
Be driven internally, I think, definitely, because it's also going to be you know, spending the time doing that thing. So it's got to be something you enjoy, not just because there's lots of opportunities there. So thank you so much, Isa. So there's a question here from Abby about GCSE options again and A-level options as well, which is the headspace that a lot of the folks tuning in are in. So Abby wants to know, do you think knowing a different language is important for what you do? If so, do you think it's important to study them at A-levels, or is it enough to learn at home or at GCSE level? And I know we definitely had this with kind of fun facts coming in, whether it was Croatian or some of the other languages. What are our thoughts on picking languages for A-levels or GCSE, or, you know, lots of you traveling at the moment. So your thoughts on choosing this to study? Go for it, Katja.
So just from personal experience, I studied Spanish at GCSE and then in later life now Croatian. I haven't really found any of it any use directly or has been a factor in being hired, just because of the roles that I've done haven't required it. I think it's a benefit when you are potentially working with that particular country, if you were, but I don't think I've found it to be one of the biggest factors in kind of career progression. I just think it's an extra that might stand you in good stead if you were working with a particular country, but sometimes it's so specific that the chance of working with that country that you know that language in it's not, so it doesn't happen so often.
Awesome, thank you, Katja. Is there anyone else that wants to come in on this, on learning a language? Go for it, Phoebe.
So my secondary school was a languages school, so I had to choose a language. I've forgotten all of it and I haven't needed to use it yet. But I think it's because STEM is very collaborative and it's very international. You will all there's always some opportunity to work with people from a different country, or even if you might be able to read papers in a different languages if you're that proficient in that language. So as Katja said, it's a good bonus. But I think just even having that attitude of being willing to like learn about someone else's culture, because you at some point you're going to meet someone. If you work in STEM, you will meet someone from another country. So I think it's whichever stage you learn it at is fine. I just think it's always good to learn the language.
Very, very good. Yeah, actually, it's not just about the language, but it's about the culture. So really good point there. Brilliant. So we've got another question here from Hannah. Hannah says, I would like to know how COVID has impacted your ability to juggle life and work. Aisha's laughing. Faye has pulled a face. Who wants to come in on this one? How has COVID impacted your ability to juggle? How good are we at juggling now? Go for it, Amber.
So I've actually quite liked lockdown in a strange way, because rather than traveling into the office and doing over 50 miles a day, I'm now at home. I've got 2 really young kids. I've actually managed to spend so much more time with them. You know, I've seen first steps and first words, and it's been really amazing, because otherwise I would have missed that. And actually knowing that this has forced change. So when we go back into the office, we already know we're not going to be back in full time. So actually for me, looking forward to the future, it's now going to be so much more flexible than it was. And we already had flexible working. So in terms of juggling a career and a family, I actually see that the future is going to be a lot better in terms of that balance. So yeah, I've actually enjoyed it, but also faced the same challenges that everyone else has in terms of not socializing, you know, having to struggle on Teams with you're on mute. The whole thing has been very strange to deal with, but yeah, overall, I think that I've quite enjoyed it from a work perspective and balance in life.
So there's definitely been benefits for that juggling. Kira, what about you?
So my course started in September, and I found it like really hard at the start, just because, you know, your computer's in your house, like, so it's hard to split work from life. So at the start, I was working until like silly hours, like 8 p.m. doing work, just because it was there, it needed to be done. I couldn't take myself away from it. And it just wasn't sustainable, really. Like, I was getting really stressed out that I realized this, and I spoke to my tutor, and I sort of decided, right, no, I'm going to be working hours 9 till 5, Monday to Friday, and I need a break, because, you know, at the end of the day, you definitely do need a break in life. You can't just be working constantly 24/7.
And I think it's good to be able to define those boundaries and say, you know, there's a time. I got into a habit really early on to say, I'm just going to close my laptop at this time and kind of hide it away. And then I don't feel like there's kind of work there, and almost turned into a ritual of kind of put the screen down, put the laptop away. And that's my commute. It's a new kind of commute, I guess, just closing things down. Anyone else want to comment on their juggling, how they've learned how to juggle? Go for it, Phoebe.
Because my work is very much physical, there wasn't much for me to do during the first lockdown, especially. So I was kind of like adrift. I didn't know what to do with myself. So I had to think about the other, like, more administrative parts of my job. So things like risk assessments and things like that. And I was just very much looking forward to, okay, when we get back into the lab, what are the things that we need to do? But yeah, I felt very lost during lockdown. I didn't know what to do with myself. But eventually it got to a stage where I was just like, okay, if I want to go forward in my career, I'm going to have to actually focus. And when the lab opened and I realized that, okay, you're going to be working in shifts, you only see one other person and you'll only be allowed in there for 2-3 hours of the day, you really have to like get down exactly what you need to do to make the most of your time there. So at the beginning it was quite bad, but now I've got more of a focus in terms of what the next steps for my career and what I need to do for my current position in the lab.
Yeah, I think it's important. I think there's definitely a similar experience that lots of people will have felt, that kind of there's a big difference. There's a different way that we're having to do things. So how do we kind of, there's a different way to almost get ahead or make the most of the situation. So how do we get ourselves into that kind of mindset, given it was the first time? So yeah, thanks for sharing that, Phoebe. So there's another question here that Ella's just popped in. So hi, Ella. She says, what made you choose an apprenticeship over A-levels and university? So this is for those of you that chose apprenticeships. Why? Katja, go for it.
So it was kind of complete fluke how I ended up in engineering, to be honest, and an apprenticeship, because it was when I did work experience back at school in year 10 or 11. And originally, I'd never ever considered engineering, even though I love maths and science. I never put 2 and 2 together. And I was supposed to have a placement at the hospital, and it got cancelled last minute because they got a bug. And my dad forced me to go to work at an engineering company with my uncle. And if I'd never done that placement, I would have never known it was even an option. So for me, work experience then opened up the opportunity for an apprenticeship. And then it was just, and then I was torn, do I go to college where all my friends are going, or do I do the apprenticeship, which is a job, and they send me to college and you get paid to go to college, and the prospects afterwards are so much better. And I was so torn between socially, my friends are all going to college, and it was just, I was like, no, go with the job and the opportunities of apprenticeship.
Awesome. I think that's the importance of kind of try before you buy, isn't it? Any work experience or placements like that you're able to do to kind of see what it is and open your eyes to the different types of opportunities is really, really important. Was it Amber? You did the apprenticeship as well. So why did you choose apprenticeship over A-levels in university?
So I had a family friend who sort of just came and spoke to me and said, look, like, you've got all these skill sets you enjoy, and like you enjoy maths and science. Have you considered engineering? And I was like, no, don't even know what that is. Is that like dirty, like rolling around on the floor? Is that like a mechanic? I've got no idea. Did the typical stereotype of what even is this? Did a little bit of research. I didn't really see many people like me, but I just decided to apply anyway. And even when I went for my interview, I still wasn't convinced. And I think there was 10 places and over 1,000 applicants. So I was like, I'm not even going to get this. And then they phoned me and offered it to me. And it was the best feeling in the world. And I think, like Kat, it was really hard because it was so different from what everyone else was doing. At 16, everyone was going to college, they were socializing, whereas, we were going to go to work, and our college was, like near where our office now is, so like 25 miles away. And it was huge, but it was the fact that you get your training, you get a job, you get money. So all of those things tied together just made it the best option possible. So I don't regret it. It was definitely the best decision I ever made.
Awesome. There you go, Ella. So I hope that's helping you make your decision there. Very strong cases there from Katja and from Amber. Zainab has asked the question here. So Zainab says, Phoebe, if someone wants to be a neuroscientist, what subject should they take in A-levels? And then in university, are there any particular additional courses that you'd recommend?
So A-levels, I would recommend just a typical biology and maths definitely, and then anything else that you want to do. At university, you're depending on your course, you will have a selection to study different parts of human anatomy and stuff like that. So I got to look at things like cancer, I got to look at things like neuroscience, immunology and stuff like that. So you always, just part of human biology, they'll always expose you to different parts of the human body anyway. So you'll definitely get a chance to study neuroscience at university. And the good thing about university is that the first year they'll treat everyone like they know nothing. So even if you haven't studied, obviously you probably need biology to get in, but even if you haven't studied it, they'll give you a good foundation within the first year.
Okay, awesome. There you go. So I hope that's useful, Zainab. That was pretty comprehensive. Thank you very much, Phoebe. Sam has asked a question here. Hi, Sam. Have any of the panelists experienced gender bias within their professions, and how have they dealt with it? Oh, Amber's nodding along. Yeah, hit us, Amber.
Definitely. I think that it would be a lie to say that most people in this room probably haven't. I know within Siemens Energy, only 18% of our workforce are women, which does mean that although on a whole, we're really good. And like Kat mentioned earlier, we've got a great culture. There's still work to do. And especially for me, when I've been traveling the world, the cultural impact is different. For example, I was in Qatar, and that's a country where, you know, women are not seen as equal. And I was massively judged for the fact that I was a woman giving my engineering authority, and I was completely overlooked, and they looked to my male colleagues. And actually, when I was in the canteen, they asked me to go sit in the corner behind like a little barrier, because that's where women belong. And I didn't do it. And actually that really helped me grow as a person and as an engineer. And from that experience, I've developed and feel more confident. But gender bias is around. It's something that, you know, in an industry where women aren't, you know, we're not 50%, it's going to be felt, but the world is definitely changing. And within Siemens Energy, we are doing so much cultural work. We've got gender networks, we do unconscious bias training. There's loads of things going on to make sure that, you know, people really understand what women go through and what we feel. And, you know, it's known that we aren't as confident. So just having that understanding really does change, you know, how people view us. And I think that that's really good.
And I think this is something that definitely touches on what we mentioned right at the top, which is about having the right support network, having the right mentors, having the right people around you. So when something like that does happen, you're able to share that experience and make things happen, you know, to make sure that that's not repeated. Is there anyone else on the panel that wants to kind of talk about how they've come up against bias and handled it? Katja, yeah, go for it.
So actually on a slightly different aspect, so I've heard a lot more about positive discrimination. So in the sense that, oh, because you're a woman, you get helped out a lot more, or, you know, because you're a woman, you get put forward for this, where this, you know, that kind of gender balance almost has the opposite effect, where people have the perception that you've kind of got there because you're a woman or because you've been, you know, pushed through here. And I think especially when I was first starting out, when I was 16, I was so young to be thrown into kind of a job and a role, and I didn't really have a clue what I was doing because I'd never experienced engineering before. And I think I did need a little bit of help with certain things because I wasn't engineering minded. I just had the maths and science, but to apply it, I needed a bit more support. And I think I had a lot of comments from the other guys saying, oh, everyone kind of helps you out. They don't help the guys out, but they help the girls out. And that was really difficult at the time to deal with in that sense. And I think it's just something that through over time, you earn your stance and you kind of grow yourself, and you know that you deserve, you know, you can do it as well as they can. But I think, yeah, those are just different perceptions early on in my career.
Yeah, and I think that's tough because it shouldn't be a bad thing to know that you can ask for help. I mean, it's all collaborative, so it is about getting that help. But yeah, you're right. I think over time you do end up understanding that sometimes as well. I had a boss once who told me kind of, Anne-Marie, people are messy, and sometimes it's not actually what they're saying, but they're reacting to something else, or there's something else that's gone on for them that they're kind of trying to pull on. Yeah, you're being helped because you're a woman kind of thing, rather than that actually genuinely being what's happening in the situation. Faye, you wanted to come in on this too?
Yeah, because our job faces a lot of engineers, so I just want to share some stories about in the daily job what happened. One of my manager, he talked about his first day to meet with customers. He said he shares a cookie with clients, and they think he's a very nice person. But I also get similar experience with one of my female managers. She said she go to site with lots of male engineers. They just say, okay, now you prepare tea for us. It's like when you are a man in the engineer background, if you share cookie tea, people think you are nice. But when you are female, be careful. Maybe you are showing you are not very professional. So we need to be more tough on our technique background. It's like build up your reputation. It's not easy. Sometimes we naturally show our soft side, but this is a feeling which I get at this moment. Even in UK, sometimes if a female, you work as a technical side, you need to be more professional, more tough. Otherwise, people feel, okay, ladies are all the time doing this.
Yeah, I think it's a tough one, and it comes with experience. And I know we've got a session coming up afterwards that's going to be in kind of smaller groups to get some of this advice and to be able to kind of do this one-on-one or in smaller groups with you and a couple of the other folks from Siemens. But I know it's definitely, as time goes on, there are things that you learn and environments. And I think what you're talking about, Faye, you know, different environments react differently to, you being a particular way. And so you do want to make sure you're in the right team, you have the right support, you have the right people around you, you have the right managers who are able to say, yeah, it's not a sign of weakness, to give cookies or to give tea, but actually I can give the tea and I can be a nice person and I can also help us solve this problem, and I can be the two things, rather than having to kind of only be manly when I do that, or be womanly, or be strong, or be soft, or all that kind of stuff. So I think it's definitely one where, picking the right organization, picking the right team, and having the right people around you is going to help you be able to be yourself. Because I think you also do your best work when you're yourself and you're not having to worry about, what people are seeing or what they're perceiving just because of your gender. Yeah. Louisa, very quickly, you wanted to come in on this one. We're almost done on time for this part of our panel.
Yeah, I think just to add on to my fellow colleagues' points, I guess it's a little bit aside as well, but obviously coming into the industry as quite a young person and also female, sometimes perhaps people with more experience tend to think that you might not have had enough experience to make a certain decision, but it's really important to know that just because you are either young or a woman, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily wrong in what you're saying. So it's really important to have that sort of confidence, just to stick behind the point that you think is right, and to try and carry that forward.
Definitely. You've done the time, you've done the studying, you've had the experience, you've got the different perspective. So you've definitely got that value in you. So thank you very much, panelists. This doesn't end here. So this is the end of the Q&A section, but we will be heading over to Teams to do some speed networking now with these fantastic women, and also with some other folks who are joining us from Siemens Energy. So if you'd like to join that, it's not too late. We're going to pop the email address down here at the bottom. Those of you that did sign up in advance should already have an email in your inbox giving you the links to be able to join us for speed networking. And these will be smaller sessions, smaller groups for you to talk directly rather than via chat or kind of typing. You'll be able to kind of see, and they'll be able to see you. We'll be able to have some good times just after this session. So if you'd like to join that, it's not too late. If you're just tuning in now on YouTube or Facebook or on the Twitter, drop us a note to team@stemettes.org, and the team will make sure that you've got the right links to be able to join us for speed networking. So if I can get the slides back now, that was the end of our Q&A. I think a big thank you and a round of applause to our panelists. There were a lot of questions there, so a big round of applause and thank you to those of you who joined us as well in the comments. So lots of questions. We covered lots of different topics there, so thank you very much. And I know it was definitely useful. I could see in the chat and the comments, thanks for your answers, and a bit of a debate about GCSE options. And Hannah's put clapping emojis now in the comments as well. So thank you very much, panelists, for being honest and for sharing with us. So a couple of things to get sorted before we go into speed networking. Firstly is feedback. So we need, and we love to collect feedback from you all, just so we can get better and improve on these sessions. This is the link for leaving feedback, and you should also be able to leave your leave some address on the feedback. So I'm looking at the team actually. I hope we've got the addresses for the goodie bags. Siemens Energy, who we've worked with today, have sent us some things, some kind of gifts and some goodies for you all to be able to continue and remember your time with us today on the Siemens panel. So we've got our feedback link there that we've popped up on the screen. And so you need to, and we've also got it in the comments on each of the platforms. So you should be able to head to this bit.ly/Siemens Energy panel. And you need to keep it all kind of lowercase. And I'm looking to the team. Please confirm, team, that it collects address. Does it collect address? Yes. So we're adding in the address. So we'll be able to send you some goodie bags across of some fun stuff from Stemettes and from Siemens for you to remember the panel by, and remember all of what you've learnt, but also to stay safe, because we need to stay safe. We've heard about COVID a little bit there. So this is a very, very cool, very swanky. I'm going to do my best impression of a beauty YouTuber right now to show you what we've got. So this is, I was really impressed with this, especially because I love Fenty Beauty. Oh, the team are telling me the goodie bag is only for those that are joining speed networking. There we go. So if you needed another reason to join speed networking, this is it. So this is my fave. This is a hand sanitizer. There we go, from Siemens Energy. There we go, YouTuber, holding it up. There we go. And I love this. It pops up. So it's like the Fenty stuff, but this is not Fenty, this is Siemens. So there you go, you've got hand sanitizer dispenser, and then we've got the sickest of face masks, there we go, that you've also got, which is reusable and washable. So there we go. So if you join us, drop some feedback, join us for speed networking, and we'll be sending you your goodies out as well. And so there we go. So that starts at quarter to 1 even, sorry. So we've got 15-minute break now, and then we'll see you all for speed networking on the other side. Please leave some feedback. Let us know how you found that, and you could be receiving one of this with compliments from Siemens Energy and Stemettes in the post. So big thank you again to our panelists. We're going to close this session now-ish. So a big thank you to Faye, a big thank you to Katja, a big thank you to Amber, a big thank you to Louisa, big thank you to Kira, a big thank you to Phoebe, and then also to Aisha, Zainab. I think maybe the last word goes to Zainab before we jump across to speed networking. Zainab says, you guys are amazing. Juggling with your career, your family, and everything in between is really hard, and you're managing it with such awesome and cool careers. More power to you, and then that emoji. So thank you very much, panelists. Thank you all for joining us. Before we go, sorry, there we go. Final thing. So this was just part one of what we are doing with Siemens Energy over the next couple of months. On the 6th of March, we will be hosting an online hack, an online weekend, online event to get creative and get hands-on. So if you're interested in joining that, we're also going to pop the link in the comments. It's also free to attend. And we've got more details there on the Bitly and on our website. So do join us as well for our sustainability hack with Siemens Energy that's coming up in March. But we will see you in 15 minutes over on Teams. Check your inboxes or email the team, and we will send you your invite to do some speed networking in groups with these fantastic role models and with a few more from Siemens Energy. So see you all in 15 minutes on the other side.